Hey guys, it's your boy NJNP, and I'm here to talk to you guys about Garchomp and the history it's had on Smogon OU competitive mons. And Garchomp was introduced in Gen 4, and basically it was too much. When it first started out, Garchomp was everything you wanted, man. It had the ground typing, the perfect ground typing. It was a dragon in Gen 4. Of course there was no fairies, so it didn't have anything to worry about. But let me go into depth. All right. Garchomp was technically fairly manageable early on, thanks to a few popular Pokemon back then. Weavile and Skarmory. Here's the thing about those is Skarmory had to deal with Fire Blast. Weavile also couldn't switch in early DPP, and then there was Bronzong being a few checks. But the whole thing, Swords Dance, Yashi Berry, Rosen usage, and I mean it was a completely disgusting monster that would take advantage of the very few measures that were in this tier. There was very little to outspeed it in this metagame. It had very little to worry about, and you had to use not the best Pokemon sometimes to deal with it. And it was very basically it was basically just too much for the tier, leading to like Bliss, the core that we all know and hate, being very popular. And the whole thing was Sandveil was allowed at the time, so it could just be dodging them crashes. It could be dodging crashes, and your game is over, and you're just screwed. You're like, oh god. So it was honestly just too much. Along with the fact that it was really hard on building. It was hard to prep for them on. You had to sometimes run lures, and if those lures didn't work out, sometimes you were in a really bad spot and position. And now, honestly, I wasn't around this time, but I definitely have heard stories about it just being simply just too much for the metagame. And I'm basically just, letting you guys know how effective it was. It was certainly too much. It had to be banned to Ubers. It was the correct decision. And generally speaking, there are resuspects for like old gens, but, nothing has changed for them to feel like this mon needed to come back, basically. So, yeah. To Gen 4, we move on to Gen 5. So, this time I have a replay to showcase for you guys. And Gen 5 Garchomp was unbanned. One of the reasons being that Sandveil, it had like, cause it didn't have Rough Skin as an option, as it did now with its Dream World ability. And Rough Skin Garchomp, I mean, was this mon still effective? Yes. This was honestly, in my opinion, the last gen for it to be the monster that we all love and know Garchomp to be. As the gens were on, it became less and less of a threat. But in this generation, it was pretty good. It had the introduction. And one of the main reasons that I was able to stay is because it had the introduction of Lando T, which was normally known as a reliable mon for Lando and Lormer Check. And you had certain you had weather, of course, weather spam, especially rain, that was able to pressure it out consistently and constantly. And along with the fact that there was a lot of sweeper threats, such as Vocal Run, that were introduced, that would have certain people preferring to run Choice Scarf Garchomp instead of its most people would consider its more effective sets in SD. But yeah, let's get into this replay. And as we're talking about Garchomp, so like Garchomp, of course I've already gone over its fantastic typing. At the time, people also, they forget how, like how as the gens have gone on, like its bulk, this mon could run Rocky Helmet. And that said, honestly, it picked up steam. It was like, I'll go over basically. So like Garchomp was like one of the best, not top five Pokemon in Black and White OU. It was initially in the Ubers tier. As for the Sandveil ban, and which led to Rough Skin variants drop back down to OU essentially, as I've already stated. While the most common set as of late is the Choice Scarf set with Dual Chop for Alakazam, Sash, and General Safe Stab, an outrage to break through the basic crap like Lando T that you don't want to deal with. Earthquake was for a semi-standable stat, and Fire Blast for Scarm, Rock Slide for Vocal Run on Choice Scarf, etc. It could be a Mixed Breaker, an SD Sweeper, and a Stealth Rock setter, and it could do it reliably. It had multiple berry sets like Yachi and Salic Berry. It had Focus Sash option, it had the Life Orb option, Dragon Gem, Fire Gem, Water Gem. You see Water Gem like on rain teams, it abuse Aqua Tail, and even Rocky Helmet, Leftovers, or Choice Band, making it one of the most overall versatile Pokemon in the tier. It has a great speed tier for Black and White, hitting 102, an absurd attack paired with natural defensive capabilities. I mean, come on, we all know how great this Mon is. And in this game, we're gonna see how good of a late game sweeper it is. As you can see, this is a World Cup replay. This was the finals at the time, and Jade's right now just weakening his opponent's team, member by member, making sure that he's able to get the GOAT that is Garchomp sweep off. And and the reason I say that, like, I feel like this was like the last time Garchomp was, like, at least the last gen that Garchomp was effective, is that, as I'll talk about, and oh wow, this was fantastic. I was watching this replay, I was watching the replays to make sure that what I gave was pretty quality, and you guys enjoyed this video and felt like my input was pretty nice. Me personally, I feel like coming up when we go over Gen 6 in a minute, I'll be able to give my best analysis, because that's the gen that I fully was thrown into, and the gen that I know the best, But yeah, as you can see, dual chomp, Garchomp cleaning up. You probably will learn SD dual chomp. Well, as we stated, Alakazam was a big thing with Focus Sash, so dual chomp made that no longer him process like a check for Garchomp. Well, excuse me, it could check, but it can't OHKO you naturally, and you don't have Focus Sash anymore because of dual chomp. You're basically dead because of that. And yeah, Garchomp just clean, which is pretty clean. Alright, so next is Gmic versus Lefties. This is an old replay. This is 4S. And this basically is to show, this is the best replay honestly I could find at the moment of time for Garchomp, because honestly this was not a great gen for Garchomp. You had the introduction of fairies, most namely Clefable, complete nuisance. It just didn't get the job done like it used to. It had a lot of mons to now revenge it with megas to outspeed it. But you could still run sets like as stated before, Yachi Berry, Rocky Helmet. Honestly, Rocky Helmet Rough Skin was a very popular set because of like in the beginning, like X and Y, because of how much usage Talonflame Band was having. But yeah, so let's get into this game. So Keldeo is out first. He goes T-Tar on the Psychic. And here comes Garchomp, because I definitely want to showcase how Garchomp coming out. So Garchomp comes out. Rocks. You see that takes that pump heavy. But as you can see, with Garchomp's amazing bolt, is able to take that. Starmie comes out on the pump, of course. He goes for pump. He misses. Basically, pumps are not connecting. Hydro miss at its best. He goes for damage, getting damage off on the Rotom. Lefty tries to make a prediction. Does not work out for him. Decides to switch out naturally because he doesn't want to get rocked and have his Rotom die so early. Lucky for him, he's able to dodge a pump and he takes advantage of that and goes for pursuit. And yeah, so Garchomp comes back out. Garchomp gets a kill. Now he switches it out. He goes for Rapid Spin. Basically, he didn't want to grant himself. He didn't want to grant his opponent a free Rapid Spin kill and lose his rocker like that. Now Gmail goes for SD. Talonflame Wisp, basically weakening how strong it can be very nicely. Talonflame being Talonflame, which it was, it was a fantastic mon. He makes a fantastic double here and gets the rocks. I feel like this is just the best replay for Garchomp, because it really let you know what it was best at doing. And at the time, it was best at setting up rocks. It honestly wasn't a good sweeper. It never could get a sweep off, unless there was the case where you had Sally Berry. And even then, the chances of that were slim, because the chances of that were slim because there was so much priority. There was Aqua Jet from Azu, there was Talonflame, Brave Bird, as you can see, Breloom as well. There's a lot of priority, a lot of bulky measures. It just didn't work out for the mon. But yeah, we can end up this game because all I'm trying to do is showcase Garchomp. So we move on to the next game. And we are in Sun and Moon. And this was honestly, in my opinion, the death of Garchomp. Now, Garchomp, more fairies came. And in particular, the Boo, Lou, the Feeny, the Lele. They arrived. The Guardians arrived. And whew, did they change the landscape for Garchomp? You had Feeny giving Misty Terrain, weakening all of Garchomp's base dragon type attacks. You had Bulu weakening its ground attacks. You had Coco just straight out speeding it, and Lele could revenge it with Choice Scarf. Yeah, let's get into this game. Also, at the time, Pheromosa was not banned for this. So you had monsters like Pheromosa that were able to easily revenge it as well. I mean, there was just a lot that it had to deal with as a mon. And so in this game, I feel like, you know, it was just best to have two Garchomps to show what it really was doing. And it's having, I guess, quote-unquote, having struggled keeping up rocks. But no, it's finally able to get a rocks with, you know, with its strength. The other opposing Garchomp does damage. But, you know, all it did was basically get a kill. Like, both Garchomps, all they did was get a kill, which is pretty drastic change from the Garchomp of Gen 5 when Garchomp was getting 3 kills. It could legit just win games by itself. Garchomp, how it is now, cannot win games by itself, and it doesn't. It just doesn't. Like, players know how to. I've been through so many gens, and there's so many different measures for it now, and so many ways to handle it. Like, Garchomp just simply isn't as good as it once was. Its stats would go a long way, but it's honestly, it's just so many new mons, so many new abilities. Like Beast Boost, you know, it just gets overshadowed now. 130 attack as it is still impressive, isn't what it used to be. But let's look at the benefits Garchomp did get from this generation. So Garchomp got Z moves. Now Garchomp's able to abuse those Z moves pretty well. It's able to do that with Fire MZ, Ground MZ, and Drag MZ. But the issue with Garchomp and Z moves, generally speaking, with those ones I named, it honestly can backfire on it. And the reason I say that is because with Ground MZ, you are basically trying to predict, and I guess you're assuming, or like you're hoping, that your opponent doesn't have a flying type. And most teams, at least well-built teams, will have a flying type in the team. So if you go for Ground MZ and they go to a flying type predicting, or at least scouting for Ground MZ, then, like, let's say go into Orlando T, then you've basically wasted your Z move and you're screwed. Same thing goes for Ground MZ. Drag MZ is that Drag MZ has to worry about fairies. And if you click Drag MZ trying to blow a Lando T, and let's say they go Clefable, then you've wasted your Z move. Now the Fire MZ, it's the reason the issue with that is, like, it's kind of the best thing it does is really like lure Celesteela or break through Celesteela and Toxapex scores. I feel like it does that well, but it can be I'm not gonna say a useless Z move, but a Z move that, you know, of course, it's not benefiting from his stats, so it isn't as amazing or as effective in certain matchups. Simplified is best. So, along with that, you know, it did have the purpose of being a very nice revenger for the very big sweeper that is Voke Arona. And it was already doing that in Gen 5. It was doing that in X and Y, and it was doing that. And, Sun and Moon, like, it was making sure that mon didn't sweep, and it was doing it pretty well. There were certain sets like a Scarf Rocks to keep rocks, at least to benefit from a dead turn, like, because mostly speaking, Lando T usage and, you know, Clefable running around, Tapu Fini, etc., like, those are solid, or like Tangrowth even, very, very solid switches to, like, Scarf Garchomp. They really have nothing to worry about. So to benefit from those turns and go for Stealth Rocks, at least to have something gained from that turn, and you're like, oh, well, that Tapu Fini can easily default. But that's the thing. At least it forced or put Tapu Fini in the position where it had to default, and you could at least get a free switch into something that would pressure out Tapu Fini. Whereas you're only going to do like 30% to it, and you're forced out the next turn anyway. You know? And then whatever you're forced out to has to take damage. Who knows? That could be damage that you could have wanted to prevent. But yeah, moving on. It's nowhere to be found now. It's in Ultra Sun and Moon. This mon is honestly, there's not many reasons to use it. It's not even good as one of his most famous, like as a focus sash setter. That's been taken up by Excadrill, because Excadrill can set up rocks and Rapid Spin has lead hazard setters away. It gets revenge by things like Greninja. Already what I named in Sun and Moon, like Ultra Sun and Moon, it really has just made it even worse for this Mon. More Mons were introduced to outspeed it, and with all the new defaulters, it doesn't even really keep up rocks like it used to, and it just isn't able to simply get the job done. As being a predominant Mon that it is, it simply just isn't as effective anymore. Me personally, I do think if you were to use Garchomp currently, I guess you would definitely try to use a Z move, or you would definitely try to use a set that some people discuss, but I'm going to bring it up to you guys, and that's Citrus Berry Garchomp. You can use Citrus Berry Garchomp to take things like a Fire Blast Charizard Y, and basically take 2 of those hits, set up rocks, or even SD and pressure Mons. Like, Garchomp, I'm not saying it's a bad Mon. No, a Mon like this with a legacy like this will never be bad, but it simply just isn't as good as it used to be and doesn't accomplish what it used to. It's now outclassed by Mons like Zygarde that can now spam the great move that they have, 1,000 arrows, and hit flying types with their ground moves. Like, that's what, if Garchomp had 1,000 arrows, honestly, we would be talking about Garchomp a lot more, and Garchomp would be used like crazy. The only reason that you wouldn't use Garchomp, I guess, over Zygarde is one, maybe because of bulk, and also because of priority. But Garchomp usage would be at an extreme high. I mean, honestly, I'm not gonna say it would be too much for the minigame, but it would. No, it probably would be too much for the minigame. Anyway, it's your boy NJNP, and we are done talking about Zygarde. Oh wait, not Zygarde. No, excuse me, my bad. I was talking about Relevant Mon. I didn't mean to throw shade at Garchomp, but no, we are done talking about Garchomp. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had fun making this. If you guys want another video going over the history of Garchomp, do let me know. If you guys think I've made any errors or mistakes, hey, please let me know as well. And if you guys have any questions, comment below and we'll talk and we'll discuss Garchomp. Comment below what Mon you would like me to do next. Let's try to hit 100 likes with this video. I really do appreciate the love and support you guys have been giving. And I'm out. Peace.